Here we have a Dyson V11 Outsize torque driver. So I'm just going to show you the normal torque driver for the Dyson V11 V10. So that's the difference. It's 25% bigger apparently, according to the advertisements. And the difference is now it has a button here instead of the other one. You have to use a screw to open it. So first of all, we need to remove this by lifting up the button and turning it. It allows us to take out the cleaning head. So to put it back in, you take the side with the hole to put it in and insert it, and then slide it down again, and the clip will automatically clip in. We need to remove the wheels. So there's two of them. You just use your normal Phillips head screwdriver to remove this. After you remove the screw, you just lift up the wheel and it comes off. It's recommended you to keep the whole wheel assembly or whatever comes out when you pull it out together, so you don't miss anything when you put it back in. These wheels can be hard to remove depending on your situation. So this is new, so it's relatively easy. So next we have to remove two screws behind the wheel and one screw behind this label. So these screws are Torque T8 screwdrivers. You'll need a Torque T8 to remove it. This is the reason why we have to remove the wheels, as there's two screws behind the wheels. Also remember to separate your screws so you don't stuff up and put the wrong screw in the wrong hole. After this, we need to lift up this sticker. So I'm just going to use a Stanley knife, or you can use a screwdriver. So I'm using a flathead screwdriver to peel off the sticker. The idea is not to peel off the sticker all the way, so you can actually close it again. Try not to make the sticker dirty, else it won't stick when you put it back. See, once we peel the sticker back halfway, it will reveal a screw. This is also a Torque T8 screwdriver as well. Next, after we remove that, now we can lift up the head. As you can see here, where the wheel goes, you can now slide it up and down. So we need to slide it back. So now we need to remove two of these screws on the sides. After removing the two screws, you need to lift up this plastic thing. So this is a bit difficult. So by bending the rubber piece back, it allows you to, it lifts up the plastic piece. So this actually slides in and there's a guide rail for this plastic stuff to slide back in. Remember, you have to align it first before you push it all the way. Once it's aligned, you can push it back down. But please be aware that if there's a tab and the tab has to go in. If you don't insert the tab properly, it's not going to go in. So to remove it again, as shown, pull back your rubber or make the thing pop up. you might need to give it slight assistance for it to help it to pop up. Remember to insert the guide rail in the guide holes before you put it back. It's slightly a bit difficult to put this in, so take your time and it should go in. So now, once you remove those two guides on the left and right, there's screw holding these. There's actually 4 screws on the normal torque driver, and I think there's 5 screws on this one because this is the outside version. It's bigger, so they gave extra screws. So you need to remove all these screws to remove the rubber piece. The purpose of the rubber piece is when you vacuum, it actually makes a seal with the floor, allowing your vacuum to have a better contact. Now that we removed all the screws, you can just pull this out and it comes out just like that. To put it back in, there's this groove here that needs to align with the groove on the head. So align it. Once it's aligned, then you pull it back. So I'm just re-showing you on a different angle. Next, we need to remove the following screws. There's a few of them. So we need to remove these 2 screws, and the next 5 screws after this will allow us to remove the cover. So we're going to remove these screws as well. These are the next 4, and there's one more after this. Just showing you the screws. The 4 screws are removed. One of the screws are different. That's a screw where the button is to remove the cleaning head. So that's smaller than the other 3. So please take note of that. So now that we remove those screws, we can remove this. There's actually one more screw. It's actually behind the cleaning head or inside, which I forgot, which is so here inside there's actually a screw. So now that we remove that screw, you can now remove this, the back. Remember to retract your neck thing to create a gap, or else you can't lift this up. So to slide this back in is a bit awkward. It actually slides in, you can't just push it in. So this is just showing you here, it goes in and out. It doesn't just, you can't just like lift it straight up. It won't work. It needs to be slid in. So the plastic's pretty soft and it allows you to bend it. So you should be okay if you have issues. So next, when you remove these screws to take the front off, so once you remove that screw, you now can take off the front. So here it comes out. You need to remove the front first. Now that we remove the front, there's actually two screws here that we need to remove before we can take off the cover. This is different to the normal torque head. The normal torque head did not have this. This is extra. So there's two screws here that you need to remove. And the previous torque head did not have these two screws. It's probably this is larger, so they had to put two screws to hold it in place. Now that we remove these two screws, remember to remove your cable. And now you can lift up the plastic cover. Re Remember, do not remove this black line. If you remove it, you will not be able to put it back. So clean it with the black rubber gasket still there. So to remove the motor, you actually have to remove the cable. You can unhinge the cable from its hole, or remove the cable from its hole before you take it out, and the motor should come out really easily. It lifts up, and this you can just lift up as well, and it comes out like that. Please note, in the cable, or on the motor, there's this gap that you must put in correctly for the motor to go back. Please take your time at this part. This part is a bit difficult to get it correct. So there's a gap there that you have to put the motor in correctly. And there's a gap for the rubber on the string as well. Please note it goes in diagonally. And once you put it in, actually, it's a bit floppy. So to put the neck that attaches to your vacuum stick in, you just need to sit it on top of this barrel. Please note there's actually alignment. You need to align it correctly. If you have problems aligning it correctly, remember to remove your neck backwards. These red dots here are actually your gates that you can open. So now that we have everything in place, we need to put our plastic cover back on. We're going to ensure that your neck is aligned correctly and everything else is aligned correctly before you start screwing things in. We're putting our 2 screws in to hold it in place. So this part is a bit difficult. What you have to do is you need to ensure that your two gate things or your 2 gates that go up and down align correctly with the button, or else once you close it, you can't open and close the button correctly. So it's best to put your gate opening all the way to the left, according to my video. You lift up both of them and insert it into the guide rails they provide before you insert it back in. This seems to be the most consistent way I can get it in. So you have to put there's 2 dots on this. It needs to go into the guide. You need to do it for both of them. After you do it for both of them, you now need to hold them in place and align them before you press them down. And there you go. I'll just remove it again and do it again so you can see. There's 2 dots on there's also guide rails on the head itself. So to remove it, push it out and then lift it up. When you put it in, make sure your 2 gates are in towards the center. So putting into the center makes it a lot easier. And once it's there, you can adjust it and push it down once you're ready and believe it's aligned. You remember to test it before you screw your screws back in, that the gates open and close according to normal. Once we've done that, remember to hold it in place so it doesn't drop out, so you're going to have problems putting it back in again. And we're going to screw our screws back in. Now we have all our screws back in. We're going to turn it around and align our cable correctly. There's actually placeholders for your cable, so try to align it correctly according to how it was first aligned or first laid out. If you don't put it properly, then when you put the cover on it, it doesn't go on as flushed. We need to put this cover on. This cover covers the cable, and that's its purpose. Remember your neck is back, so you can put the cover on. Once the cover on, remember to slide the left and right side in. Then you can close the neck or pull it down or up, whatever direction you have it, to hold the cover in place. Remember, there's a difference in the screw, as I told you previously. There's one special screw for where the button goes, which is smaller than the rest. Your screw inside the cleaning head area. So when putting this rubber piece in, remember to align the guiding part with the gap. Once you've done that, you have to hold it in place and flip it up so you can put the screws in. This might be difficult for you or those who don't have experience, but give it a bit of time and you should be fine. Actually, forgot to put these two screws back in. Need the neck part, which is what I'm going to do now. So we're going to put this rubber piece back in. Remember to make sure it sits flush. Once it sits flush, you now put your screws in. We have to put our plastic covers back in. Remember that it has a guide rail and you need to insert it correctly. Insert it part way only, and then we need to push it down to the gap near the neck. It needs to insert in. Once it insert in, you can push it down. This is the same with the other side. Insert your plastic into the grooves. Once it's in, push the center part down to align with the hole. Insert it in that hole before you push it down. This is a bit difficult for those who've done it the first time. So just take your time and try and wiggle it out. Make sure it sits flush, because if it's not flush, you have stuffed up and you won't be able to put your screws back in properly. We need to put our 2 screws back on our wheel, behind our wheels, and one under the security label or the model number sticker, whatever you want to call it. Remember to push the neck down. If you don't push the neck down, it won't be aligned and you can't insert the screw. So I was struggling to get my screw in because the alignment wasn't correct. So if you have a problem with that, remember to readjust your neck to align it before you insert your screw.